I want to mention a couple of folks. Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Fitzpatrick, I want to thank you for coming today. Sheriff, thank you. I appreciate it. And Committeeman Silva, I appreciate you joining us as well. In addition, I want to thank the many workers who worked around the clock. We used all local New Jersey contractors and employees to build this building. And I have to tell you, I own a lot of buildings, and I've built a lot of buildings. I haven't never seen one more beautiful than this. So if some of you are in the room, I want to really give you a shout out and congratulate the great job that you did. You know, Lighthouse holds a very special place in my heart and an extraordinary place in our company's history. I've been doing interventions now for over 40 years. I accidentally saved the life of a friend of mine. Actually, Miriam was with me that day, and took him to rehab. I didn't know anything about rehabilitation, drug and alcohol addiction. At the time, it was the early 80s and late 70s. I knew a lot about drugs and alcohol, but not a lot about addiction. But I was placed in a position to help a friend, and I did. And his mother told the whole world, anybody has a problem with drugs or alcohol, call Brian O'Neill. And honest to God, I didn't know what to do. But over the years, my phone has rang, and I was doing interventions, and I was appalled at the condition of the facilities and the lack of service for somebody suffering from the disease of addiction. And, you know, if you do an intervention, it could take an hour, more than likely takes a day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes a week. Jay Utes, one of our founders, talked about an intervention that took 24 years. And he never gave up and got the guy in and finally got him well. But so then you finally get somebody say yes, and you go and you take them to a place that you know they're not going to want to be in. And so now you've gotten them to go get well, and you had to take them to some of these rundown facilities that did good work and were doing the best they could, but had never approached addiction as a disease and didn't have the ability to put forward, you know, what somebody suffering from disease is entitled to. And so many times I would get a patient to the front door and they would just beg me not to take them in. But we would take them in because that's what we had to do to get them well. And I have to say, to the credit of a lot of these places, they did good work and we got a lot of people well. But I did an intervention one day on a young man who's a friend of my son Julian's, who's with me today. And it took us a long time. And the guy ran, literally ran several times, and I chased him. And you could see from my physique. It was a funny scene. It could have been on Saturday Night Live. It would have been a big hit. But we got him tackled and we got him in. And we got to the rehab and they made us sit outside for 4 hours in the middle of the night. So now I had this guy that'd been running all day and I had to keep him contained in this area for 4 hours before we get him checked in. So they finally got him checked in. I went home, took a shower, went to work because it happened to be a Sunday, so I had to go to work on Monday. And he went in and he spoke to a woman, and they had a strict policy on separating men and women, and they threw him out and didn't call me. And so I got a distress call from his mother that this had happened. And I said, that's it, I'm going in this business. And I did that intervention with Jay Utes. And it took a long time, and there were many multiple hour breaks. For those of you who've done an intervention, you know what I'm talking about. The kid left, we had him arrested, brought him back, put him in jail, stood on the other side of the bars, let me out of here. Sure, no problem. If you get help, we'll let you out of here. But during that period of time, there were hours of nothingness, like space. He would disappear and we'd be waiting or trying to find him. And so Jay and I would sit and talk. You know, what would happen if somebody put together a beautiful facility where people really wanted to go, that was easy and in the neighborhood and took insurance and was affordable, and where people walked in the door and their confidence was restored, as opposed to them begging at the front door not to go in. And we agreed that the test would be that if a mother took their child to the front door of one of our buildings and said, gee, I want to stay here too, then we had accomplished our goal. So we decided to put together a business plan. And he was working for a company, and I was running 3 companies, which I still am. And So we would just get together every other day and jot down notes, and we put together a 400-page business plan based on a couple of principles, which I'll share with you today. Number one is restoring the shattered confidence of our patients. When somebody has been suffering from alcohol and drug abuse, their confidence is shattered. They've had to do things to support their habit that are degrading. They've oftentimes hurt their family members, their jobs have been affected. And you know, when you realize that it's the devil of the disease and not the human being, you can start with a forgiving attitude. But if you're the human being going through these challenges, the hardest thing you have to do is forgive yourself. And once you forgive yourself, you have to rebuild your confidence. And so the first premise of our company is to rebuild the confidence of our patients in everything we say, everything we do. So first is rebuild confidence. Second is treat the disease medically. This is a medical disease. My mother had cancer 25 years. Nobody ever questioned a relapse of cancer. But we condemn a relapse of addiction, which is dead wrong. Here, we celebrate a patient who says, I need help, even if it's the 5th time, because we know that sometimes that's what it takes, and that if a disease is chronic and it's present in your life, the reality is it may reoccur, just like other diseases. So we treat the disease medically. We have great doctors and great clinical directors. We have Dawn here. Where's Dawn? Give Dawn a round of applause. There are not many people tougher than me in this company, but Dawn's definitely one of them. So that's a compliment, by the way. So the third is spirituality. And we have David and Mimi. I want to just give you a big verbal hug. We embrace spirituality here. We believe in the higher power. We don't care who's higher power, what you call him or her, where it comes from, what religion or non-religion. We believe in the higher power. And, you know, alcohol is a spirit, to quote my great friend Chris, who I know is back here. Where's Chris, our 12-step man? Give him a little round of applause. That man knows more about the big book than any human being on earth. But, you know, alcohol is a spirit. They call it a spirit for a reason, because it robs you of your spirit. Right. And drugs are the same way. And the way to replace a robbed spirit is to instill new spirituality in the patient. So we believe in spirituality. We believe in family. Trish Caldwell's here today. Where's Trish? Trish is one of the leading family counseling experts in the country, and we're so blessed to have her. And we know that you have to treat the whole family. You can't just treat the patient. Because, you know, it's no good if the patient's well and they come home and they got to go to a meeting and the family doesn't understand, or we don't begin to rebuild those wounds that are caused. And addiction affects the whole family, and it makes the whole family sick, and so we want to bring everybody back. And then there's the whole concept of just being family every day. When you come into our world, you're in our family. And once you're in our family forever, like every other family. And so as you look around here, I hope you felt that we put home into this building. This is a home. It's a home to the people who work here. It's a home to the employees that labor every day on behalf of our patients. It's a home to the vendors that supply us with goods, the gentlemen and ladies that built this building, and most of all, it's a home to our patients. And when they come here, we want to immediately get them relaxed and feeling like they're home, because we have to get our patients to calm down and open their hearts, minds, and souls to accept the treatment that needs to happen to get into a life of recovery. So we can't do it at all without our colleagues in the recovery business, and we have a lot of them here. And I called Robbie Steyer at home, and I said, Robbie, you better be here. And one thing I love about this business, we're all competitors, but we help each other. Over the weekend, we needed a scholarship. We were full. And we called Seabrook, and they took the patient. And we do the same in return. And oftentimes, we're all sending each other patients. And it isn't about whether we get the patient. I mean, I run a call center in Philadelphia, and we get now 18,000 calls a month. We answer them in 10 seconds or less. We can't take all those patients. So we spend till about 4 or 5 o'clock taking patients into our facilities, and then in the evening, we're referring patients out to everybody else. And what's the beautiful thing about all the folks that are in the recovery business is most of us have walked through the valley of death at one time or another, or have had family members who have walked through the valley of death, so we fear no evil, but we understand perfectly well what evil's all about. And we are here to help each other. And so even though we technically are competitors, we're really not. We're all here with the same mission, which is let's get every patient's life saved that we possibly can. And I truly enjoy the relationship that we have with our colleagues. I think we were maybe a little misunderstood when we showed up. You know, we were a little different in our approach, and I apologize for not better articulating our intentions, but I thank everybody for accepting us and into your world and our world, and I really am grateful for all the good work that all of you do and all the help that you give us, and you know we're here to help you. And I've gotten individual calls from a lot of you in this room and many outside the room, and we never say no, and because our goal and our mission is to save lives first, period. So with that, I want to just congratulate the team. I want to thank my colleagues at RCA and King of Prussia who have to put up with all my antics, and all of you who get my emails at 4:45 and call me back at 5:01 today. David called me at 5:01 this morning. We are on a mission, and sometimes you have to work 24 hours a day to do that. And so all of you that work there with us, we greatly appreciate it. And I want to thank you for coming today. So thank you very, very much.